That we're currently on is disenrollment. Guys, we have our tribal registrar who's in charge of the enrollment department, Julie Salo here. The individual in this situation is a minor, so we're not going to mention that individual's name. But in a nutshell, can you explain what's going on, Julie, and why your department is seeking disenrollment?
This individual's father, the alleged father, is how this child was enrolled. The alleged father brought in some DNA paperwork to prove that he was not the biological father. And with the information that I had, I was not able to trace through the biological parents. So the child is not eligible to be enrolled any longer.
Okay. Are you confident that the child has no Indian blood, which is a requirement for enrollment in our tribe per our constitution?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Go ahead, Kim.
But we do have the option, if they do find something in the future, they will be allowed to apply for.
Correct.
membership.
Absolutely.
Or
Yep,
be
absolutely.
reinstated.
Yeah, and we try to give as many options as possible, including DNA tests, so absolutely. Yeah, any further questions, comments? Okay, guys, I appreciate that. We're done with this. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll get set up for agenda review.
4:11, we're calling the workshop back to order with agenda review. Our budgets were reviewed this morning, so we're not going to go through those again.
I just sent it along with you. Thank you.
So the next item up for review is Danny in the audience?
Dan Doyle is on, is that who you're talking about?
Danny Fagan.
Oh, no, there she is.
Oh, there she is. First item up for review is contract with Loyola University of Chicago for refining the Manubin habitat sustainability or suitability model.
Hi, everyone. Danny Fagan, Director for the Natural Resources Division. Loyola University has been a long-term partner, and we worked with them on our first iteration of a Manobin habitat suitability model. That takes data that we've collected from water bodies in the 1836 ceded territory. We collect a bunch of environmental parameters, and we build a predictive model to determine where our Manobin or wild rice restoration is most likely to be successful. We've done that across the state, which is fine, but it's really coarse scale. And what we're seeking to do is actually collect more data to better inform that, to have like more specific locations within the 1836, and specifically the Upper Peninsula for our wild rice restoration efforts. And this is funded with GLRI funding, so no trouble support.
Are there any questions for Danny about this specific resolution? I don't hear any questions on this one. Thank you. Are you going to represent the next one too? I got Caitlin
Sure.
or Brandy.
Yep.
Okay, so the next resolution is NRD application to the 2026 National Coastline Resilience Fund.
So this one, we are requesting approval to apply to the NIFWF National Coastal Resilience Fund. We were actually successful in applying to this award, or this program, back in 2021 or 2022. It was a few years ago. We're looking to build upon that work and actually expand into the Straits, Lake Cheneau, and St. Mary's area to do invasive species management and coastal marsh restoration. Funding would provide support for staff, large equipment for invasive species removal, as well as everything else that goes with that work.
Thank you, Danny. Are there any questions about the NRD application? No questions. Great
right,
work.
thank
We'll
you.
see you at 5-ish. Next item up, Bill Travitz accepts state and local cybersecurity grant program grant award.
Good afternoon, Bill Travitz, Chief Information Officer for the tribe. We actually have two resolutions for money acceptance on grants. Which one are we starting with, Mr. Vice Chair?
First is state and local cybersecurity grant program.
Okay, I'm going to invite Sean Tackaberry and make an introduction. Sean joined us back just before Christmas as our new Director of Cybersecurity. So he's been doing great work for us here, and he's the one sponsoring this particular use of the funds and has been spearheading it. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking in $150,000, a little bit more than that, for use on some of our cybersecurity products, and this is provided by the Michigan State Police. And if you have any specific questions, Sean took the lead on doing this, so he's here to answer any questions you might have.
All right, Sean, welcome to the team. Glad to see you're here.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else to follow up on for this application or the grant award itself?
Not really. It's relatively straightforward. It was put in to fund our licensing for our antivirus XDR software, which is our intelligent malware detection and things like that. And it's pretty straightforward. It gives us extension for an additional year while we migrate to a more robust suite. And yeah, that's it.
Sounds good to me. Any questions from anybody on the board? No questions on this one. Good job, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next one you have on is accept U.S. Department of Treasury grant award for AP wireless devices.
Yes, sir. This is $27,638.36, which is from a grant that we had already accepted some time ago to buy wireless access points. This is going to allow us to buy 28 additional ones. The granting agency contacted us and said there were some additional funds, so we're taking that in to go ahead and order 28 additional additional access points, which will be used to replace some of the ones that have cycled out life cycle-wise, and then create a small inventory for new uses.
Excellent. It's nice seeing IT pull in some grant money. This is a nice change. Any questions? We're just on this one, and nobody has questions.
All right, no questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Travitz, appreciate it.
Thank you.
It looks like next up is the Health Division reappropriation of third-party revenue.
Whoops.
Good afternoon. The resolution before the Board of Directors for consideration is the earmarking of the appropriated funds already approved by the Board of Directors for the sum total of $14.4 million as relates to the usage for the annex.
Appreciate it, James. Any questions, comments on this resolution? Bridget?
So this is the one that we're taking the million from traditional medicine and the recovery campus and that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I guess, what is our plans that we're going to do something about the recovery? You know, are we going to, it just seems like so many of our people, when they want to go to treatment, we don't know how to get them there or who's paying for it. So if we're not going to build something, can we set aside money to pay for their treatment?
Could you explain the process to get into treatment and what funds are available? Because we do have a process and there is funding.
Yes, there is a process through behavioral health. Right now, we have multiple pots of money to pay for transportation and recovery services. One of them is with the SOAR 4 grant that the MAC Clinic had applied for. We also just applied for the Tribal Opioid State Fund grant, the Rural Health Transportation Program grant, and those have funds in them as well to cover those expenses. And then we have a COVID cost center that came through the Health Division's AFA, Annual Funding Agreement, and that has close to $1 million in it to help pay for those services.
Keep going, Bridget.
I'm just, I guess, did you guys all know about this?
Yes. Yeah, as a social worker, I know the process to get people into treatment. So depending on your insurance, if you have Medicaid, first thing you do is you go to behavioral health. They contact North Care because North Care is the one that funds them. Then they do a bed search. There's inpatient centers all throughout the state. They make calls. They figure out whether or not there's a bed and whether or not the facility meets the needs of the patient.
I just know that we, for several years, have talked about this being an issue. So I guess I didn't realize that we had something in place that people, because all I ever hear is, you know, somebody wants to go and we can't get them to go. So is there like an 800 number if this happens on a Friday night, or how? I know about the North Care, whatever, but I guess I didn't realize that we had some in place, because this is the reason we were putting, well, it was 10 million that we originally put in, or more than that. Was it 25? I don't know. 25, okay. So, I mean, so then we brought it down to 5. Now we're not doing anything with that. We're just using it for this building. And I'm not saying that I don't have anything against us building that, but I want to know what we're going to do for recovery going forward, I guess.
So again, we have those funds. There is a process to get into treatment. Within the last 5 years, we've created a medication-assisted treatment program that has several hundred patients, tribal members, non-tribal members alike. They prescribe harm reduction medications, buprenorphine in the injectable form, Sublocade in the strip form, Suboxone. We also renovated the old church on Shunk Road to be used as an AA, NA, and Wellbriety center. You know, you can always do more, but we do offer services in that realm. The issue is that there's not enough beds, and that doesn't apply just to substance abuse centers, but behavioral health centers as well. So if you're in a mental health crisis and if you need to, you know, be admitted for residential inpatient psychiatric services, there's a long wait, you know, because there's a big need in our community and in our state. So we do a lot of things. You guys can add to that, but we do everything we can in our power. The issue with building the center is it's complex. It would have to be staffed 24/7. There'd be a lot of liability because if certain people are brought in with certain withdrawals such as alcohol, they can die. You can have a seizure and die from alcohol withdrawals. So it's a complicated issue. Lana?
Yeah, we've always had the funding, Bridget. We've always had the funding there. The problem was we didn't have the access when members called up or the transportation or the wherewithal to make the process easier for people that were ready to go to recovery at that moment. So we'd say, okay, then they'd have to go through North Care. I tried a couple of times to help people through that process, and I'm pretty aggressive on the telephone. I'm pretty aggressive in life anyways, so it was even hard for me to navigate that process through North Care. When you're in that state of mind, it's not an easy process to get through, for one thing. So hopefully that got better. That's not us, but hopefully we have overcome those challenges in helping people with that process. And then transportation. We were underutilizing, you said there's $1 million there in a fund. The question that we always asked is, how much have we spent in there? And before, and James, I don't know the answer to that right now because I haven't asked in a very long time. But with the problems that we have with the funding we were spending on in-treatment care, we weren't even scratching the surface of what we could. So the question would be is if we have that money, what are we spending for in-person treatment care for people? Are we getting those problems that we had, like transportation? What is the process now? So that's the question to ask. I know that we have the MAC clinic, and that is an amazing amenity that we have done in our community. I hear nothing but good things about that MAC clinic and what they do for people. But when somebody's ready to go to recovery, and this is a long, you can get me started on this, but a long discussion, but the transportation issue alone, do we have bodies and vehicles to get somebody to treatment when they say they're ready to go through our behavioral health program? That was things we talked about a decade ago.
So, as it relates to behavioral health, we do have 2 drivers that are dedicated for behavioral health patients specifically. So they're always on. They work regular shifts throughout the course of the whole work week. So we do have that. That is
So
a
when somebody
barrier.
says they're ready to go to treatment, we have that on-call service and put them in a van and take them now.
Correct.
That's perfect.
Yep.
And
so-
As long as they're, go ahead.
No, and I was going to add, if someone has a child welfare case and if it's part of their treatment plan, their caseworker will also drive them as well because that satisfies active efforts, which is a requirement. So, I mean, we all work together on it. I don't believe there's a single person in recent memory or that I am even aware of that's ever been turned away when they've sought inpatient treatment due to lack of funding or anything like that.
Never lack of funding, lack of us having the solid plan in place in order to get them there. That was a real problem. Probably, I mean, before you, it's been, but to hear that those things are getting accomplished is a really good thing. I knew that we had different programs, but one thing that maybe you could give us is the amount that we are spending, so that reflects the people that we do serve. Because before, it was gross amount of money compared to the problem that we had, only because of our lack of getting them to the, and you're nodding your head, you know what I'm talking about. Yep, okay, thank you.
And then the funding source would be important as well. Like a distinction should be made if we're using third-party revenue or an opioid grant, which would have to be spent, you know, on a service like that. Bridget?
And I'm not sure this is happening, but maybe the new marketing staff could put something together in the travel paper or on the website or whatever, just saying if a family member or you need help, these are the steps, I think.
Yep, that's a good idea. Okay, Kim?
I was going to recommend that too, but you said when they make the call, is it a 24-hour line or just a 8 to 5? When they make the call for a ride?
It's an 8 to 5. So it's during
So
the
if
work
something
day.
happens at 9 o'clock at night, they're out of luck?
It would go to our triage line, and then it would be something that we would have to work on the following day, or it'd be something that Melinda would coordinate.
But
trying to
see,
get
when
somebody somewhere.
someone's ready to go, they're not going to wait till the following day. They want to go now. They've made up their mind, and if you let them sit for 10, 12 hours, they're changing their mind.
Can I tell you something though, Kim? If it's after 5 o'clock, the likelihood that you're going to be able to find a bed and they're going to admit them after 5 is pretty small. You know, we have after-hour crisis services, like if someone calls with like a mental health emergency, where HBH picks up the phone after 5 o'clock. But like the likelihood that you can move that fast, even if, you know, even if we are open, is pretty slim.
And hopefully they have support with them if they do call at that time, because that's the only thing that's probably gonna keep them from forgetting about it and going into the next day.
Okay, Rob?
Okay, so this is bringing up some stuff that I wasn't really aware of. It sounds like there's a gap there, and I think that we need to figure out how to address it. Couple ideas I have is there any possibility that we have one of our peer recovery coaches on call at a certain time? And then can we designate, I mean, even the Shadowin building, if we have someone at 9 o'clock at night that says, hey, I want to go to treatment, we can't find a bed at the time, we have someone on call, can we at least maybe have some support there where we say, okay, well, let's go hang out at the Shadowin building or wherever we decide, and we have someone sit with them, because that support during that time is absolutely crucial. Because if they're in the mood and ready to make the decision to get help at 9, and we let them wait, they might be finding something at 8. I mean, everyone knows I struggled. I'm 17 years sober now, but I mean, when I was in the position to get help, and you let me go for 12 more hours, it wasn't going to happen. So, I mean, it has to happen like now. So I think that we need to find some way to address that gap. But as far as this, I think it's a discussion that probably needs to happen outside of this resolution. But I think maybe we put that on a workshop agenda so we could come up with a solution. Because I don't like the idea of our members saying, hey, I need help, and then nothing until 9 in the morning. That's too long. I mean, that's 12 hours for them to change their mind. And I think we need to act now when someone gets to that.
So James, can you review what we currently have in place, and then we'll talk about it maybe next time you're in front of us for your executive level report, so we can see if there is a gap in services, if we can bridge that gap somehow?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate it. Any more questions, comments on this resolution? Okay, let's move on then. Appreciate it. Next one is adopt the Sioux Tribe Governmental Wage Grid for Housing Authority. Okay, but before we hear this resolution, there was a resolution that was on the agenda where we may have received conflicting information regarding whether or not it's being requested to be pulled. So it is the Government Emergency Condition Policy. The Health Division is included in that. James, are you comfortable with us voting on it? I don't believe we've workshopped it yet. Are you supportive of it, or would you rather we pull it and then workshop it with you? Okay, all right, sounds good. I'll scratch it then. All right, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Maria Mangine, the Housing Director. So Sioux Tribe Housing is requesting to be moved from the housing wage grid to the governmental wage grid. The Housing Commission has reviewed and approved it at their March meeting. We have about 17 positions currently that make less than the positions in the governmental wage grid, either the exact same title or similar position. Evaluations was done of all positions. They were placed on the grid and adjusted by years in position. We'd like to first move those that are under min to the min by May of this year, and then adjust all positions to years and positions according to the grid as of January 1st.
Okay, I appreciate it. Will we have to pay for any of these increases with tribal support, or will you guys be able to sustain these adjustments with the funds that you have?
Yes, this won't affect travel support, and to do this just for this year, it'll be about $36,000.
Okay, much appreciated. Any questions, comments from the board? Rob?
My one question was just answered. The other one, was this a unanimous vote?
The other one was what?
Was it a unanimous vote at the Housing Commission?
Yes.
Okay, I support.
Mike?
I don't think this question is actually for housing, but you got HR with us, but it's saying that we're going to evaluate and adjust by years in the current position, and then we're referring to the resolution above it, 2024-410. Was the government side done based on years of service, just to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples here?
No, not at this time. Governmental has not been done
Okay,
that
so
way.
we're referring to the one reso but then in addition to, we're gonna put years of service. So it's okay.
Two parts. So to bring Tim in, which is currently what governmental has done, so that is equal, same thing.
That
And
part's
then-
equal?
Yes, that's what we did in 2 years ago. We brought Tim in. And then Maria would also like to then pay for years in position after that to fix any wage compression issues that will be caused by bringing to them in.
Okay, I support the years of service, just for the record. I do have mixed feelings, though, of having the one grid for all government employees, including housing, but then having one set of team members only up to the min and not their years of service to be included, and then having housing under that same grid and resolution, but and I understand that you guys can pay for it, so that solved one of my questions, but I'm also a little concerned on if we're gonna do the min by May, but then we have 8 months to do all the rest. And would it be retro, or it wouldn't be retro? So potentially, team members could, depending on when we get it done, could miss out on their increase for the whole year. I mean, it could be December before you get it done then. I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly.
So, yeah, the first part would just move, beginning in May, we'll get those one positions that are not, are way under mid up, and then we would increase the years to position. Now, all that has to go through the Housing Commission, because we have to approve our budgets, our 2027 budgets with the Housing Commission. So years of services would then be discussed there as well. So I'm not saying it's just rough estimates here, but that's kind of just the plan right now.
Okay, do we have, since it's rough estimates, do we have the estimate then of what it would run?
Yes, so the years in position portion, this portion is also including the bring to them in, is about $125,000.
Okay.
So just the min part is the 36,000 though. So combined, it's all in one total is 125,000.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to the next resolution then. Thank you. It is titled Establishing a Moratorium Prohibiting the Development, Approval, or Operation of Artificial Intelligence AI Data Centers on Tribal Lands. Directors Hampton and Sorensen sponsored this, so if you guys want to speak on it, now's your opportunity.
Sure. So this is obviously a resolution to prohibit the development, approval, or operation of AI data centers on tribal lands. Towards the bottom of the resolution, it does state that the moratorium shall remain in effect indefinitely unless and until explicitly lifted by a subsequent resolution of the board following. So there is the potential, for consideration at some point, but it does specify in here a comprehensive tribal impact assessment, environmental and cultural resource evaluations, infrastructure and energy capacity analysis, and robust community consultation and input process. So this would stop data centers for now, pending all of those stipulations. So obviously, there is the option for our members to have their say in all of this at a later date if need be. So,
Okay, any discussion?
I don't know if Bridget has anything.
No, I fully support this. I think that we should have done this when it was happening with the school out there.
With the Bitcoin mining?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think it should be done in the whole state of Michigan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the issue is we all rely on it. That's people have been campaigning with it,
Can I-
so whatever. So, any other questions, comments?
I just want to say, so I was actually listening to a podcast on my way here this morning, and it is AI Doc, I think is what it's called. It just was released in March, and it shows in there that the difference between AI, like ChatGPT and Claude, is completely different from data centers, what they're going to be. It explained that these data centers are essentially superhuman brains running virtually digitally within these data centers. So it's not us running an AI, a quick ChatGPT something. That's not the whole intent of data centers. It will be to have that superhuman virtual brain running behind doors. That's all.
Okay, any questions, comments? All right, let's move on then. All right, under new business, we have disenrollment. We just heard from Julie. Any further discussion on that? Okay, so we'll skip that. And then we have reaffirming 2024-118 protections of families. Director McGrory, you put that on. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'll make it brief. It's because there's been a lot of talk online about, the moratorium and data centers and stuff, and I just want to make it very clear that this was done April 23rd, 2024. The be it resolved is very clear that it prohibits the board from taking any action that endangers the environment. So therefore, it's my belief that it covers everything that the moratorium would cover, but then some. Ryan, by your interpretation of this resolution, does it cover what the moratorium resolution covered?
Yes, the way I read the intent of the 2024 resolution is it encompasses this and more. Like it would be any endeavor that we do that might disrupt any of our natural resources we're trying to protect.
Okay, so I just wanted to reaffirm our stance that the Sioux tribe is opposed of anything that endangers the environment, and this board has, prior to the moratorium resolution, has already been prohibited from taking those actions, and I've been saying that the last few weeks, and I just wanted us to reaffirm that we are not just opposed to data centers, but we're opposed to all projects moving forward that endanger the environment, which would include data centers.
Okay, does anyone have any board concerns that they'd like to talk about right now to save time? Okay, go ahead, Bridget.
Just a question, was there anyone that attended the food sovereignty thing down at MSU?
My wife attended it.
Anybody off the committee or anything like that?
have no idea.
Yeah, I think Dr. Marty Reinhardt was.
Yeah, he was a speaker, yeah.
He's a committee
As you guys
member.
know, my wife is one of the country's leading experts in food sovereignty. She was there. She's published like 30 articles on the subject, but yeah, Dr. Reinhardt was there. Yep. Aaron.
Yeah, I don't know if you.
Aaron, we can't hear you.
Oh, I don't know if you heard the announcement, but Marty's daughter, Badabin, I'm sorry, was just hired by Michigan State Extension as one of their regional food. You could say it's food sovereignty, but she was just hired, so that's awesome.
Very awesome. All right, any other board concerns right now? Okay, so we're going to go into closed right now to talk about something, so I'm going to ask you guys to leave, and we'll reconvene at 5 o'clock for the meeting. Thank you. It is 5:02, so I'm going to go ahead and call this regularly scheduled meeting to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Kimberly Lee.
Here.
Isaac McKechnie. He did advise he'd be absent tonight. Kimberly Hampton.
Here.
Rob McGrory.
Here.
Bridget Sorensen.
Here.
Aaron Paymont.
Here.
Tyler LaPlante.
Here.
Lana Cosley Smith.
Here.
Michael McCurchy.
Here.
Larry Barbeau.
Here.
Sean Borowitz.
Here.
Kimberly Gravel.
Here.
Austin Lowe's.
I'm here.
I'd like to motion to excuse Isaac.
Support.
Okay, so the motion and support to excuse Director McKechnie from tonight's meeting. Any objection? Okay, his absence is excused. I'd like to entertain a motion to add the following resolutions to tonight's agenda. It is key employee, and then clarifying the intent of the creation of the tribe's separation in distinct legal entities. Is there a motion? We have a motion from Tyler, support by Larry. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call, because we would need a vote of 9 to waive the rules to add both tonight.
Let me grab a clean sheet.
Well, how about this? Are there any objections? Okay, hearing no objection, both items are added to the end of the agenda. Okay, with that, we have the following items on today's proposed agenda. We have invocation, membership participation, minutes from 3/24 of 26, and the following resolutions. FY25 year-end reconciliation/modifications, FY25 ARPA budgets, FY26 ARPA budgets, establish FY26 aquatic invasive species budget, establish FY26 BIA forestry budget, establish FY26 GLRI coastal initiative budget, establish FY26 2022 tribal victim service budget, accept grant/established FY26 25 victim services budget, legal FY26 budget modification, contract with Loyola University, Manoomin, 2026 National Coastal Resilience Application, accept cybersecurity grant award, accept AP wireless devices grant award, health, reappropriate third-party revenue, housing, adopt governmental wage grid, moratorium prohibiting AI data centers, the two resolutions that we just added, key employee, followed by clarifying the intent of the creation of the tribe's separation in distinct legal entities. Under new business, we have disenrollment, we have reaffirming 2024-118, protection of first families, and we finally have board concerns. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the agenda. Motion by Tyler, supported by Larry. Any discussion on the proposed agenda? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries and the agenda is adopted, which brings us to our first item, which is invocation with Gerard from Traditional Medicine. You want to stand it or seated, Gerard? Sit down. All right, sit down.
Oh, there you are, okay. You got my back?
I got your
Yeah,
back.
all right. As long as you got my back. You're first. Go first.
Okay, thank you.
No, bonjour, Benoit. Mabigyan in Chicago, mabigyan sa Gaski Jesus. Mabigyan in Ishnamen, Daga, Winigin, Gimajayik, Mem Jugoyang, mabigyan in Shomus, mabigyan Gokmas. A long time ago, before my grandmother and my grandfather left, they gave me this, I guess, or they gifted me this. And I always tell my kids, it's one of the hardest gifts to look after. It's like a politician, nobody's ever happy. Just kidding. But one of the things that I'm mindful of all the time is, I guess, the renewal. Sometimes in the roles that we live, whether it's being a parent or a co-parent or being a child or a stepchild, being a teacher or police officer, anybody type of responsibility, grandma or grandpa is, springtime we usually forget ourselves. Nazigwan, Minokme, however you define that, as we we forget to rejuvenate our own spirit, our own mind, and our own body. And quite often in that there's a water that comes out of the trees. And at one time, it came out of the birch trees, the wigwas in the bay. And it was gifted through ceremony over to Anotic, the maple tree. And there's a medicine that is a really good medicine that comes out of that birch tree. And you prep it the same way you do maple syrup, sap. You boil it till it gets to a certain color, and then you leave it out for 28 days, and then you use it again. And that's the only medicine that I know that you can leave like that without it going milky. But it's a really good medicine for your entire body. My grandmother and my grandfather, I used to watch them take a little bit of that for about 14 days, just a couple of teaspoons. And they lived a long time. I don't even know how old they were when they passed over, but they're old. And that's the thing to remind us about our caregiving. And sometimes we forget about caregiving for each other. And quite often in the world of AI, there has always been an AI, and that was ancestry intelligence. And we've walked away from that. And I was sharing this morning with some colleagues about what going to the land, especially in this time that we are, is that we're not allowed to think. The world doesn't want us to have a natural thought. So in the last probably 8 months, I see a lot of physicians and a lot of neurologists using AI for diagnosis. And I think, well, what a waste of 20 years of going to school. It's just me, but that's what I really think. And I think the challenge to do and to be sometimes is to fast over AI, to stay away from it. Because the more that we go into the AI technology, the more and more we'll step away from our ancestry identity and our ancestry infinity, because it doesn't allow us to feel the land. It doesn't allow us to taste the maple sap. It doesn't allow us to indulge in some caviar known as fish eggs. It doesn't allow us to harvest corn, doesn't allow us to harvest wild rice. What it does, it hypnotizes our thought process. And in hypnosis, we're like controlled puppets. So if we renew ourselves in the springtime and go back to the land, and you can do that anywhere. I always tell that to people. You don't need a lead to go back to the land, because we are all leaders when it comes back to that. Nigayad mo mamasaik, panegay winning on dasigo mamshigo yanin mamagag and ishnabe yaik is a long time ago. Mamshigo yaguring is that's how we were. So we have a lot of people on Sugar Island harvesting maple syrup, sap. We have fish harvesters that fish. We have people that'll cut us wood. And that's how we are. But what was really disappointing me this past couple of weeks is I see Anishinaabe learning from non-Anishinaabe how to boil sap and make sugar candy. That's how much we lost the connection to the trees. That's how much we lost, what do they call that? Dermatology medicine. This is gathered this time of year. But that's the thing to be always mindful is that somewhere in us, we have a really rich, old set of parents and grandparents that AI has nothing to know about. And that's how important our stories are to hold on to each other. We have to hold on to each other. I always say that we have to embrace each other. Even if I borrowed $5 from you 2 weeks ago, you still have to embrace me and lend me 10 tomorrow. Right? But we don't. So I always encourage people is Gizagi in Mamagamini dog. Panewini Gizagit. Is that Spirit has never quit loving us, or we wouldn't be here. And to be mindful of that when we hang out together. Is that Panewini Gizag Wiakek, Mamagan Nindan, Nani Kangeik. Is Ni Kangeik is like everybody walks together to lead. Right? And we all have a grandmother again and a grandfather that led us because we wouldn't be here. Bonjour. Bashu we ought to get, Mamma got many dog, Mamma get Panege, we get we are, we can own die in, Mamma get no. Mamma get when Master go Ginago, Mam Shakuding, got winning gig, Mamma get an on knee week, then an arm we are cake. Mamma get Mishkun in the eye, Mamma get Mishkun got we are, Mamma get an arm, Mam Shakoying. Was to go on and mob again wobbing. Can you get winning in on doggy? Kawinigi can go on and mob again in on doggy a cake. Mob again, ma'am, should go yard gooding. Can you get winning in on don in our Sunday? Mob again in the ye way. Mob again was to go on and go wish pimming ye. Mr. Go mob again not need wick, and again not need woman the king, mob again not need wig, mob again in the on and. Mabigani Gaji, Pajuni Gaji, Kinike winning in on Dasago Yarin. Mabigan and Nam Dugon, Mabigan winning in Chimiquach, he can go on and Kinike, I mean go on and no go yike. Mam should go on and Mabigan we pugged on then. Mabigan dap no go yike. Mabigan is Zag we are go many dog. Ane abishane geyanda yane ya menetonem. Abiyane abishane gem. Abishane ya menetonem. Mapi nega ya megega nunda nega minetonem. Mapi ge ya mabe nege ya. Mapi nege ya ne na nege. Ame shamege nega Krishna be ya minetonem. Ane abine abishane ge abine ge yane minetonem abish mame ge gagnishna beya nunda de ke ya kene nega nanunda ne ya kene ge ya nega ya le nadi wim. Kinigayon and the not-knee wing is that in unity, when we all stand up, we're an unknown power. And I really like that. Be good.
Be good, Gerard. Appreciate it. We are now on membership participation in the agenda. So as tribal citizens, you guys have the right to address your board of directors, and we reserve this time for that purpose. We do so with a set of rules like no obscenity, no yelling, no swearing, no things like that. Myself as the chairman, I have the discretion to put people in closed session if they're talking about things that, you know, might not require anyone else to know about it, like medical issues, things like that. So Michelle Moore here, if you guys want to talk to us, just raise your hand and she'll pass out a form to you. Okay, the first one, Vicky Carr Walden.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me come and speak today. I want to speak about how everything needs to come together to make us all a very powerful tribe. And part of what I've always felt, and I'm sure that sometimes my feelings are misplaced, but I've always felt like, because I lived in Unit 5, that I was so far removed from what all was happening down here. But now I don't feel that way. I feel like I am now part of the solutions of what is happening in our world. Not only within our own tribe, but also on the state and federal government levels. I feel like our voices are really being heard. I like to listen to, particularly when Austin and Tyler, because that's who I get to watch the most, is when they go to Lansing or when they go to Washington, D.C. or whatever. And I actually get to hear some of the words that I said to them.
This meeting is being recorded.
A little late, right?
Well, okay. So it makes me feel like just, little Vicky, in Wetmore now, really matters. And our voices really do matter. And that I do have the ability to talk to all of you, and that you pretty much, on the overall, listen to me. I'm very, very proud to be able to live in a tiny home in Wetmore. I just couldn't believe how nice this is. And this has been a dream for a long, long time. And not only that, but there is the whole, it's been listened to, and now we have an actual plan to really use our reservation the way it was always meant to be. I believe it was always meant to be. And not only do I get the chance, but there were 5 other people that got the chance that are living there now. And I understand that there is a great plan for the next 10 years, and it'll only get better. And I can't even imagine, how many more people will be able to live there and to be able to see. I have talked to Chairman Lowe's and to Tyler about different things that I would love to see. I'd love to see that we're going to be able to gather on that land. We're going to be able to have our children in the YEA program to have a better place to be. We're going to be able to have a garden there so that we all can go there and do. And I believe, because we're being empowered now, not only Munising area, but also Marquette, that this just makes our tribe as a whole so much stronger and our voices are so much louder. And that, again, I love to be able to listen to what is being said on the state and federal government levels, because it's what we've been saying for a long, long time. We need our land to be protected. We need our waters to be protected. We need everything to be here for not only my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and my great-great-grandchildren. And I think that in the direction that we're going, we'll only get better. But we need to come together, you know? You've heard me say this before, we've never been a warring tribe. We've always been very peaceful people, but we've always been very smart. And I believe that at this point in time, nothing's perfect, but at least we're heading in the right direction. So I think that you as leaders can come back to all of us as membership, and you can try to mentor us along to help with this whole entire movement that we've got going now. So, and I'm very, very happy that you allow me to do this and to come and be a part of this. Now, the other thing that I wanted to say, and I forgot to write it down, I'm sorry, but last time you and I talked, we talked about, Chairman Lowe's, about recycling and municing. And so, you know, again, that is just a little tiny part of saving our land and again, empowering us as membership to be able to make a difference, one person, one household at a time. My nurse tells me that I'm trying to save the world one day at a time. Well, maybe not that quite, but at least you guys listen to us, listen to me, and I am so very thankful.
Which, thank you so much, I appreciate it. And next up, Philip Martin.
Hello, my board members. First of all, thank you. I looked at every one of you when Vicki was talking, and you all paid attention to her. I thank you for that. I appreciate it. You actually listened to what we're saying. When we came up here today, we walked around to the different buildings, and we found a lot of people that aren't happy. We went and ate at Black Rock, fantastic. But employees are they're fun. They had a good time. I'm wondering what we can do to make our employees happy, have a better time so they can push that on to the people that come in here. We have a beautiful casino here, spent a lot of money on it. But our employees have to see that. If they don't, we don't get anywhere. We're not gonna make no money if nobody comes to our casinos. I'll be the first one to step up to say, you know, if these guys need somebody to talk to, you can give them my phone number. I'm always available. All right? I don't know what else we can do. I mean, it starts at the board and it goes down from there. When I used to work for the tribe, I heard a lot of horror stories. I understand that. But we have to put that aside. Sooner or later, we're gonna have to find ways of making money with our casinos. We can't just keep pouring money into it. Unless we get somewhere and we start making money, we're gonna lose our casinos. We're gonna learn everything that we taught our kids when they were young. You know, when you grow up, you get a job, the first job you get, you learn from your mistakes, all right? You keep doing better and better and better until, you know, you actually enjoy coming to work every day. That's all I have. I'll give the people I know my phone number there. If anybody needs to call me, let them know they can call. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Phil. All right, the next one is going to be closed with Suzanne Codwell, so we're going to have to ask everyone to leave. Going to resume where we left off. We've concluded with membership participation. The next up on the agenda are minutes from 3/24/26. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept these minutes.
Motion.
Motion by Bridget, which was seconded by Lana. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to resolutions. The first one up is FY25 year-end reconciliation/modifications.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby waives Resolution 2024-205, Governmental Budget Policy for the Prohibition of Budget Modifications after a cost center's fiscal year end. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the FY 2025 budget modification to Eagle Lending Capital and Debt for a transfer out of $86,443.69 to EDC. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the FY 2025 budget modification to EDC for a transfer in of $86,443.69 from Eagle Lending Capital and Debt. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the FY 2025 year-end reconciliations for the reallocation of tribal support monies of $1,488,982.18.
Motion by Bridget, support by Tyler. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to amend this resolution to state the following. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby authorizes the government CFO to perform any administrative budget modification necessary to CC 1155 and CC 1160 from tribal support up to $47,000 to account for closeout from the year-end adjustments, and this was something that was recommended by your CFO.
$47,470.73.
Appreciate it.
Motion.
All right, motion by Tyler, support by Kim. Any discussion? So just voting on the motion to amend, all those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, those abstaining, motion to amend successfully passes. That brings us back to the resolution. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Kimberly Gravel.
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton.
Yes.
Lana.
Yes.
Bridget.
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Kimberly Lee.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next resolution is FY25 ARPA budgets.
Be resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby waives Resolution 2024-205, Governmental Budget Policy for the Prohibition of Budget Modifications or Establishment of New Budgets after a cost center's fiscal year end. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2025 budget for ARPA governmental administration with federal ARPA revenue of $448,849.45, no effect on tribal support. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2025 budget for ARPA housing and community centers with federal ARPA revenue of $18,792,123.42, no effect on tribal support. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2025 budget for ARPA revenue loss with federal ARPA revenue of $556,257.15, no effect on tribal support. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2025 budget for ARPA governmental capital projects with federal ARPA revenue of $127,454.50, no effect on tribal support. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2025 budget for ARPA proprietary capital projects with federal ARPA revenue $5,476,529.76, no effect on tribal support.
Okay,
Motion.
Motion by Tyler,
Support.
support by Larry. You guys want to fill us in on this one?
Okay, this particular budget is for 2025. We had some issues earlier in the year, and we thought it was to be presented and never did get that far. So we didn't realize that until after the current restrictions on the budget process were in place. So we're bringing this forward. We have to have a budget approved as part of our compliance with federal regulations. And so we're asking that the board approve these ongoing ARPA budgets for 2025.
Okay, much appreciated, Bill. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Sean,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you. The next resolution is FY26 ARPA budgets.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for ARPA governmental administration with federal ARPA revenue of $84,641.88, no effect on tribal support. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for ARPA housing and community centers with federal ARPA revenue of $2,257,278.11, no effect on tribal support. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for ARPA revenue loss with federal ARPA revenue $1,373.45, no effect on tribal support. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for ARPA governmental capital projects with federal ARPA revenue of $389,254.20, no effect on tribal support. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for ARPA proprietary capital projects with federal ARPA revenue of $1,226,446.37, no effect on tribal support.
Is there a motion? Motion by Tyler, support by Larry. Bill, could you inform the membership what this is as well?
Yes, this is the 2026 ARPA budget for the remaining $3,994,994.01 of ARPA dollars that we have left. These dollars have to be spent by 12/31 of 2026, and this will allocate them in those 5 cost centers that were read as part of the resolution.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Bridget,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Lana, Rob.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, Jen. The next resolution is establish FY26 aquatic invasive species budget.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for aquatic invasive species with federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services revenue monies in the amount of $16,719.58, no effect on tribal support.
Motion.
Support.
Motion from Bridget, support by Kim Gravel. Danny?
Hi, everyone. My name is Danny Fagan. I'm the Director for the Natural Resources Division. As stated, we're seeking to establish this budget using carryover funding from a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service award that primarily provided support during 2025. These funds would be used to support ongoing aquatic invasive species work, including the purchase of a new laptop for our biologist, electrofisher equipment maintenance, and other necessary supplies and materials. And again, no travel support in this one.
Appreciate it. Any questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining, motion carries. Brings us to our next resolution, which is establish FY26 BIA forestry budget.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for BIA forestry funds with federal BIA revenue monies in the amount of $43,265.02, no effect on tribal support.
Motion.
Motion by Larry,
Support.
support by, who made it?
I think it was mine.
Mike? Okay. Danny, could you cover this as well?
Yep, with the establishment of this budget, this would support a portion of a Forest Ecologist 2. Hiring is ongoing for that position. These BIA dollars are specific to implementing and updating our Sioux Tribe Forest Management Plan. This employee will be the one that's primarily interfacing with other programs and leadership as we're seeking to do any sort of timber management on tribal lands, as well as providing recommendations for habitat improvement. The budget would also provide assessment supply dollars, space cost, and funding available for expenses such as vehicle maintenance, the stuff it takes to get the job done.
Okay, I appreciate it. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining, motion carries. Thanks,
Thank
Danny.
you.
The next resolution is establish FY26 GLRI Coastal Initiative Budget.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for GLRI Coastal Initiative with federal BIA revenue monies in the amount of $107,024, no effect on tribal support.
Motion.
Motion by Larry, support by Kim Gravel. Katie?
Hi, folks. So this one is a multi-year GLRI grant, and this year we're specifically looking for a budget that would include a subaward with Loyola University of Chicago, the purchase of a boat for some field work, and some other necessary supplies for various assessments.
Very exciting. Any questions, comments from the board? Okay, roll call then, please.
Rob?
Yes.
Kimberly Lee?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel?
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next budget is establish FY26 2022 Tribal Victim Services Budget.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for 2022 TVSSA with federal U.S. Department of Justice revenue monies in the amount of $267,526.34, no effect on tribal support.
Motion.
Motion by Larry,
Support.
support by Kim Hampton. Jamie, Jessica?
Good evening, Jamie Moran, ACFS Director. We're requesting tonight to establish a Schedule C 2026 budget for our 2022 TVSSA grant. The budget was originally submitted back in January, but I attached the wrong one, so I'm back. And I believe this is the last budget in 2026 to be approved by the board.
What's the saying? Stuff happens, right?
It does.
Yeah, no worries. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Kimberly Hampton?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Michael? Kimberly Lee?
Yes.
Lana? Larry?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next resolution is accept grant/establish FY26 2025 Victim Services Budget.
Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby authorizes acceptance of the 2025 Tribal Victim Services Set-Aside Program Grant Award in the total amount of $53,628 for a 5-year project period. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the establishment of an FY 2026 budget for 2025 TVSSA with federal U.S. Department of Justice revenue monies in the amount of $122,744.56 with no effect on tribal support. Be it finally resolved that Austin Lowe's, tribal chairman, or their designee is hereby authorized to accept said grant award from the Department of Justice to negotiate, execute, and amend any documents on the tribe's behalf.
Motion.
Motion by Larry,
Support.
support by Kim Hampton.
We received notification from the Department of Justice back in February of our allocation for 2025. So we are before you tonight to accept the grant award and establish a budget. Because the federal government usually encounters delays, I try not to enter wage, personnel, and fringe into the budget. So this budget is proposing to purchase a new vehicle for the ARC program to replace a 2017 aging Caravan and to also replace some flooring that's in pretty bad shape in our facility.
Okay, Miigwech, any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Michael? Kimberly Gravel?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Kimberly Lee?
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Have a good night. The next resolution is legal FY26 budget modification.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the FY 2026 budget modification to tribal attorney for an increase in tribal support of $113,529.29.
Support.
Motion from Kim, which is supported by Larry. Ryan?
This budget mod request is creating a new position under the legal department for a PR manager. So we have a boots on the ground in-house person who can help manage all the various PR and marketing stuff that the tribe has going on.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions, comments from the board?
I'm just going to make a comment.
Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, you know, this came with a couple of different discussions. We had a discussion a couple weeks ago, then we had another one today, and we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in vendors to do our public relations and keep up on that. We all know that our communication is not well. So I'm in support of this because this is going to be a next level in our own public relations, so we can communicate what we're doing in each and every meeting and have some transparency. It's been a long time since we had an in-house position. Them being here, them know what's going on, because the people that we have contracted with, either, I'm not gonna say much about them, either have, they're not here. They don't know our communities, they don't know what's going on, and they don't have real insight unless we tell them. But this person is going to be here, boots on the ground, so I'm in support of it. I just wanted to say that because we've talked about it for a very long time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Whoops, Isaac's not here. Larry?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Gervell?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Aaron? Kimberly Hampton?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Kimberly Lee?
Yes.
Michael?
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next resolution is contract with Loyola University, Manoomin.
Now, therefore, be resolved that the Board of Directors approves awarding a professional services contract to Loyola University of Chicago for the period March 2026 through May 1st, 2027, in the amount not to exceed $61,008 to refine the Manoomin Habitat Suitability Model. Be it further resolved that the NRD is authorized to administer the contract, charge allowable costs to approved budgets and/or grants, and ensure compliance with reporting, audit records, IP, and other applicable requirements. Be it finally resolved that the chairman or designee is authorized to enter into and execute the contract and any supporting documents necessary to fulfill the intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Larry. Support by Kim Gravel. Welcome back, Danny.
Thanks. So as previously discussed during the workshop, Loyola has been a long-term partner, and we're working to revise and clarify our Manoomin or wild rice habitat suitability model so that, when we're planting Manoomin in the future, our efforts can be well-informed and the seed can be going in the best spots possible. This is the contract that was just mentioned in the GLRI coastal budget. However, that budget only had half of this contract in it because the second payment will occur in 2027.
Okay, I appreciate it, Danny. Any questions, comments on this resolution? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Kimberly Lee?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Lana?
Motion carries. The next resolution is 2026 National Coastal Resilience Application.
Now, therefore, it be resolved, the Sioux Tribe Board of Directors approves the Natural Resources Division to apply up to $7 million in NFWF National Coastal Resilience Fund funding. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the chairman of the tribe or their designee to execute any and all documents as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Larry. Seconded by Lana. Danny?
Thank you. We're looking for approval to apply to the NIFWIF National Coastal Resilience Fund program. We've been successful for a planning project in the past, and we're looking to expand on that work with kind of a second phase across the Abtwing Biosphere region, which is actually kind of centered on the heart of the 1836. It would include work in the St. Mary's, the Straits, the Lake Chanel area, and broader than that. But again, focusing on invasive species management and native plant restoration, including monoman or wild rice restoration.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next resolution is accept cybersecurity grant award.
Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby accepts the grant funding from the State of Michigan, Michigan State Police, Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division, State and Local Cybersecurity Grant Program. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the chairman of the tribe or their designee to execute all documents, contracts, and subcontracts as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Larry.
Support.
Support by Kim Hampton. Bill?
Good evening to the board and to the membership. This grant is a cybersecurity grant coming to us through the state of Michigan via the Michigan State Police. It's going to be used to continue to fund our existing cybersecurity suite as we migrate into the new Microsoft licensing. Gives us a little bit of more runway, and they've approved the use of these funds for that purpose. Sean is, I wanted to introduce Sean again. We introduced him in the workshop. Sean joined us. He's our new director of IT security. Joined us back in December, so brought him along to introduce him to everybody and the members.
All right, welcome, Sean. Appreciate it. Any questions or comments from the board? Tyler?
I just want to reiterate what I said during the workshop, that this is a nice change to see the IT department expanding through grant funding. And I want to continue to encourage you guys to do these types of endeavors. Like, this is great for us. You guys know what we've been through. I know that you're actively repairing it. We've got a long way to go, and it's going to require a lot of funds. So again, pleasantly excited to see this come forward from you guys. So great work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Anyone else? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those abstaining, motion carries. Next resolution is accept AP Wireless Devices Grant Award.
Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby accepts the grant funding from the U.S. Department of Treasury Grant Program. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the chairman of the tribe or their designee to execute all documents, contracts, and subcontracts as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Larry, seconded by Lana. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you. So this is a grant that we have already applied for that's going to buy wireless access points. The granting agency approached us with additional funds that were available, so we're going to be able to get 28 new access points. Many of them will go to replacing things that are end of life, and then we'll have some left. We get requests in frequently, so we keep those in inventory to add as we expand operations and move people around. And James is here. James Shellaby is our network manager. He's a member of the tribe, and he did the work on this, so wanted to say thanks.
All right, very good. Thank you for all your hard work. Any questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Have a nice night, guys.
Thank you, guys.
The next resolution is health reappropriate third-party revenue.
Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Directors hereby amend Resolution 2024-233 to allocate the funds to the Sault Ste. Marie Expansion and Renovation Project 25-136 in lieu of the Recovery Campus. Be it finally resolved, the Board of Directors hereby appropriates $14,465,591 of third-party revenue to a new company, Cost Center, Sault Ste. Marie Expansion and Renovation Project 25-136.
Is there a motion? Motion by Tyler, seconded by Larry. James?
The resolution before the Board of Directors for consideration would allow us to go ahead and earmark the money that's already been appropriated by the Board of Directors to ensure that we have the funds for our expansion and recovery project.
Okay, appreciate it, James. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Sean,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Let's do it again. Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Michael, Rob,
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee.
Yes.
Motion carries.
One
Thank you.
question.
Yeah,
What, do you have an anticipated groundbreaking for this?
It'll be this year. Right now, we're still working with the company that we already have the RFP that they accepted. So it is targeted for the summer of this year.
Cool. This is an awesome opportunity for the Sioux.
So what he's referring to is the annex. We're going to be creating a different building on the health center's campus, so we can provide more services. It's going to create a lot more office space and is really going to be expand what we offer at within the health division. So it's very, very, very exciting. All right, appreciate it. The next resolution is housing, adopt governmental wage grid.
Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the adoption and implementation of the governmental wage grid adopted in Resolution 2024-410 for the Sioux Tribe Housing Authority. Be it further resolved, all positions of Sioux Tribe Housing Authority will be placed in a grid, evaluated and adjusted by years in their current position. Be it further resolved that these changes will be reflected in an administrative budget modification to STHA. Be it further resolved, any changes in wages under this resolution will be effective by a date to be determined by the Housing Director and communicated to all STHA staff with all changes in full effect by January 1st, 2027.
Motion.
Motion by Bridget, support by Rob. Maria?
Good evening, I'm Maria Mangina, I'm the Housing Director. So this resolution is requesting approval for the housing staff to be moved to the governmental wage grid. We have some positions that are below the minimum on the governmental wage grid, and those positions are similar positions to those on the governmental, and so they're coming in lower. So we're requesting to be able to do that. We're going to start that as of May 1st, and then our next step would be also to look at years and positions of the current staff and implement that as of January 1st.
Okay, I appreciate it, Maria. Questions, comments from the board? Aaron?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my question is, so I was not in office when we contracted with Bluestone to do the wage study for housing. When was that done, number one? Did it go through a federal procurement process, and who approved it?
Yes, so when we did the consulting contract, that went through procurement process.
Hold on a second. We bid that out?
Yeah. Yeah,
All
well,
right,
we
keep
have
going.
to. We have to. Any of our consulting has to be bid out. So, yes, that was bid out. Bluestone won the bid. And they moved forth with a wage review, and that was as of, I believe it was approved in 2024. I don't know why they were kind of off from Sioux Tribe Housing, the governmental, they were a little off. We're not really sure why, but unfortunately, that's a thing, so.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Maria. So I have a speakers list. Aaron, are you done?
Yep, thank you, Maria.
Appreciate it. I have Rob, then Kim Hampton.
I just wanted to clarify for the members that this was voted on at the Housing Commission with unanimous consent, and this will not increase tribal support. You guys can fully sustain it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, Kim Hampton.
Yep, that's all I was going to say. Just reiterate that it doesn't have any effect on tribal support.
No.
And one more time, that was bid out? I'll tell you what, the rumors around election season are real wild. So go ahead, Tyler.
Just to reaffirm Phil's point earlier, let's take care of those who take care of our houses. So I don't have any issue with this, and I appreciate you bringing the correction forward. So thanks for righting the wrongs.
All righty, roll call, please.
Larry,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, appreciate it. Have a good night. All right, next up, moratorium prohibiting AI data centers.
Now, therefore, be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby establishes a moratorium prohibiting the approval, permitting, development, construction, leasing, or operation of artificial intelligence, AI, data centers on all tribal lands and trust lands under its jurisdiction. Be it further resolved that this moratorium shall apply to all tribal governmental departments and any external entities seeking to conduct such activities within tribal jurisdiction. Be it further resolved that no tribal official, department, or entity shall enter into agreements, negotiations, or commitments that would allow or facilitate the development of AI data centers during the duration of this moratorium. Be it further resolved that this moratorium is enacted to protect tribal treaty reserved resources, environmental integrity, water resources, energy sustainability, cultural preservation, and community well-being. Be it further resolved that this moratorium shall remain in effect indefinitely unless and until explicitly lifted by a subsequent resolution of the Board of Directors following a comprehensive tribal impact assessment, environmental and cultural resource evaluations, infrastructure and energy capacity analysis, robust community consultation and input process. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors affirms that any future consideration of such developments must be grounded in tribal values, long-term sustainability, and the protection of future generations.
Motion.
Motion by Larry, support by Rob. Anyone want to speak first?
I'll just, since I'm one of the sponsors, I'll just quickly talk. I obviously created this because data centers are becoming increasingly throughout our nation. I believe that, our ancestors did not fight for land so it could be handed over without careful thought and community voice. This resolution is about pressing pause so we can fully understand the impacts of data centers and ensure that our members have a real say in decisions that affect our land, water, Aki, Nibi, our future. I stand firmly as a water protector, as a mother, as a Nokomis, to protect the homelands that we have for our children, elders, the 7 generations, and also because decisions like this, once they're made, they cannot be undone.
Okay, appreciate it. Anybody else? Rob?
Okay, so I was going to be pretty critical on a couple of the issues here. My support for this was very much so dependent on how it was written. I'm happy with how it's written. It's not an overstep of legislative authority, which was my major concern. So I had a little bit of time to calm down, and I'm going to be a little bit more graceful about this. But I am not fully, in belief that everything that was done or promoted to our community with this was well intended. So I made a couple notes, and like I said, I'm going to be a little more graceful than I was planning on being, because as you guys know, that being open and honest with our membership is very important to me. So I'm going to make a couple comments. The first thing is I appreciate all of our members who step up to support our environment. As many of you know, I have been one of the strongest advocates for Mother Earth. I've brought forward more legislation to protect Mother Earth than anyone sitting on this board. It's not debatable. I absolutely have. I backed up multiple issues. I will continue to do that. But what I will say is whoever is willing to, I appreciate you supporting Mother Earth. It's a fundamental value that we all should hold near and dear to our hearts. But we should remember to do so with truth and honesty. We need to tell the truth to our members. And it's not just our members. When we say things as members that we know aren't true, it goes out to the entire world. And that affects us all. So, it was stated that there was 10 to 12 data centers being built. That's not true. It never has been true. That's never been discussed. I got calls from many members who were fear-stricken. I mean, literally elders in tears calling me, saying, why are you guys building these on our land, 10 to 12? It wasn't true. It's simply not true. And when you find out it's not true, another teaching that our 7 grandfathers is humility. I've had my mind changed by people on this board specifically. I could tell you, Bridget's changed my mind on a couple of things. Kim's pointed things out to me, and I have humility, and I say, you know what, I never thought of it like that. And I will come out and say, I was wrong, and here's the real information. I've done that. And I think that is important. You know, so if we're gonna say things, and then later on we find out it's untrue, we have to have the humility to say that. Hey, I was wrong. But, so if this was just an issue with the strategic plan, that's 100% acceptable. But to say things that aren't true and scare our elders, and people, like I've had people calling from Odenon, hey, I heard you guys were building things here. What is this? It's literally part of our broadband thing, you know? So I think it's really important that we protect the earth. We owe all of our women water carriers a ton of respect. They've been doing this since way before European contact, that they would walk for our water and pray on it. And we need to respect them. So, you know, I have a couple more things to say here. And you know, so I guess what I'm trying to beg of people is when something like this happens, and we feel compelled that we have to advocate on behalf of Mother Earth, I will stand with you. I've supported every litigation effort against Line 5. I've initiated cultural enhancement funds against Line 5. I have initiated the styrofoam ban, tribal-wide. I brought forward the legislation to oppose Bitcoin mining in support of Lake Superior Academy. I've also brought forward the protection of our more than human relatives. So, you know, I will stand with you every second of the way, but I'm gonna definitely ask that we do so with truth and honesty. And when humility is presented to us and we have to say, okay, we were wrong at first, but we still feel the way we feel. That needs to be said. It needs to be important. The other thing, and probably my most notable thing that I'm most proud of, is the protection of our more than human relatives. And the point I want to make with this is that it has teeth. And so I want to ask our general counsel here, now that we're in open session, do you feel that the resolution 2024-118 does everything that this moratorium does?
Yeah, when you guys passed that resolution, the intent was not just data centers, but anything that would impact the environment or natural resources. It doesn't put a strict moratorium on it, but it mandates that the government has to do it in a controlled and positive way, which would include all these things listed in this resolution, the impact study, the evaluations. All that stuff is what we're already mandated to do per that 2024 reso.
So that's the point that I've been trying to make, is you guys, we dealt with this by unanimous. This board voted unanimously, 12 votes. Yes, 2024-118 covers everything that this moratorium covers. It's fact. So all we really had to do was put 2024-118 back on the agenda and say, look it, we're gonna hold you to this. This was voted by unanimous consent. This governing body has already determined that this board of directors is prohibited from taking actions that cause any environmental impact in a negative way. So you just heard from the general counsel that this doesn't accomplish anything, really. It narrows in on one thing that's already included in 2024-118. So that's why I put it on for new business, to reaffirm that we feel this way about all projects. Not just data centers, but data centers included, definitely. The other question I have is, because this was brought up online, is that someone was trying to make the point that this moratorium is needed because any board can overturn 2024-118. But what I don't see in this resolution of moratorium is anything to negate code. So, you know, that argument is flawed and flat out wrong. Because this falls under the same code of rescinding as 2024-118. So it doesn't provide any extra protections for membership recourse. Is that true, Ryan? Would they both fall under the same code if they were to be rescinded? Majority vote.
If I'm understanding your question, yes, they both could be rescinded by a future board by majority vote, just like any other resolution that you put on the table. And this doesn't add any more protections than are already in place, except for the explicit moratorium targeted at the AI data centers.
Okay, so again, I will stand with our people every time that protecting the environment needs to happen. I'll be the first one to put forward a resolution for it, which I was the first one to put forward a resolution for it. April 23rd, 2024, passed by unanimous consent, does everything that this moratorium does. I will support this because I already did 2 years ago. So my only ask is that when we have to fight for Mother Earth, that we do so with truth, respect, honesty, and humility. That's where I am with it.
Okay, Aaron, then Mike. Aaron, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
What I don't like is how people chose to make this a political issue, a political football, to scare the people, to put a bunch of lies out there that we were going to do 10 to 12 data centers. I think that, I won't say any names, but I think the people that were saying that should be embarrassed for that. But I also think that board members know that none of that was true, and I only count maybe 3 of us that were countering that with any kind of comments to people. And, we're all in this together. And I know I came back to office, Larry was new, but the rest of you knew that you had a resolution that already prohibited it. And the rest of you also knew that there was no plan to do anything like this. So fear mongering to get people to mobilize, to come to the board meetings or to campaign or whatever. I'm not saying that's what Director Hampton's doing here with this resolution. I do think this resolution is needed now because of all the fear mongering that was done before, and they're not believing us. We had somebody come tonight that had an environmental issue and still kind of thinking we're going to try to sneak something through or, and that's just not good for our government. I do want to say the second to the last resolve doesn't really make any sense. And I'm going to ask legal if they think it's necessary, because it says, be it resolved that this moratorium shall remain in effect indefinitely unless until explicitly lifted by a subsequent resolution of the Board of Directors following a comprehensive tribal impact assessment, environmental, cultural, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all actions that staff would have to take in violation of the moratorium in order for it to come back. So I suggest that we take that second to the last, or the 4 bullet points under the second to the last out, and just end with a resolution by the Board of Directors, because you can't do those things if there's a moratorium. You would be in violation of the moratorium if you did those. So putting a standard that you'd have to do those in order to bring back to lift the moratorium, you would be in violation of the moratorium. So that just doesn't make any sense. So I'm not going to make a motion to amend because maybe it's going over people's heads, but it's not needed. It doesn't make any sense. That's it.
Okay, I have Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, I haven't commented on it, nor have I made a political football out of anything, nor have I leaked anything. But for us to sit here and say some of the things that have been said tonight, I will comment that we all heard our EDC CEO state it was in the strategy plan, the strategic plan, and it's no longer in the strategic plan, and it got removed. It got removed because people spoke up. And irregardless of what's being said tonight, and I'm going to be very careful on what I say, because I have to be very careful of what I'm saying. So with that being said, there was a reason why it was in the strategic plan in the first place, and there was a reason why it got taken out. And I'm not making it a political football, but I'm not going to sit here and also listen to that there was absolutely no reason not to do this. There was every reason to do this. And I'm glad that the people spoke up. I'm glad we're doing this moratorium.
So I'll say something. So there was never a proposal to build a single data center. If so, where is it going to be located? What company were we going to partner with? What was the profit sharing arrangement going to be? When was it going to be constructed? I could go down that rabbit hole. Doing research to figure out whether or not something is a good business idea is completely different than a proposal, and that's what was stated, 10 to 12 of them. What I want you guys at home to do is Google data center and then figure out how many acres they typically go on. So the Sioux tribe has about 5,000 acres of land. So the vacant parcels that we have, none of them are beyond 200 acres. And I want you to find a single data center that's in the news that's on a 200-acre parcel. We don't even have the land to do it, plain and simple. And you know, we have a presidential administration that up until the 11th hour cut the LIHEAP program. You didn't have money up until the 11th hour to pay heating assistance for tribal elders. So our EDC is doing their job, they're doing homework on what would make money, and then at the end of the day, it's up to leadership to pull the trigger on what would be good fits for us business-wise. But to say we are gonna build 10 to 12 data centers is completely false. And I appreciate all that passion, but I really hope that passion could extend beyond election season, because I just attended the Michigan Supreme Court regarding the Line 5 tunnel project, and not a single person that was spreading rumors about that as a water protector showed up, even though that was a public hearing in the Michigan Supreme Court. I can go back further. Consultation with the U.S. Corps of Engineers regarding that consultation project. Just myself, literally, the only Sioux Tribe member at both events. And I don't need to pat myself on the back because it's my job. It's my job to be there. It's my job to do that kind of stuff, but please be consistent. Anyone else? Rob?
I would just like to clarify, based on what Mike said, I agree. I would be right there standing with you. If the statement was, we heard this was in a strategic plan, and I agree. I'm also glad the members mobilized too, but we have to do so with truth. It has to be true. So I would have stood there. I'm glad members mobilized, and Mike's right. It was taken out for a reason, if that's the case. But I passed all of my protection legislation without stretching the truth one time, without scaring any elders, without any of that. I got all of them passed just by telling the truth. So that's my point here, is that I support this. I'm going to vote yes on this. I have been known by almost all of our members to listen to you guys. I always listen to you guys. But I'm also always going to stand for truth, always. And I don't think it does us any service when untruth gets told to the world about us. I think if we would have just said, if the members just would have stepped forward and said, hey, we want it out of that strategic plan, if it's in there, mobilized, it would have been taken out. And you wouldn't have had to stretch the truth. So I will continue to push legislation that protects Mother Earth. I always will. But I also will always stand on truth.
Larry, you had quite a few people in the Garden Peninsula scared that we were going to build a data center down there, correct? Like, what was done to scare people?
I had just about every farmer on the peninsula call me, where they were worried, they were scared.
Yeah, for the record, I support this resolution. It's going to pass. There's never a plan to build 10 to 12 data centers. So let's roll call this, please, so we know.
Lana?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Kimberly Lee?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton?
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Next resolution is one of the ones that we added. It's titled Key Employee. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion.
All right, support from Rob. Kim?
And you want me to read the entirety?
Yes.
Whereas-
Ryan, is it your legal opinion that we should read this entire thing?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Okay. Whereas the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians is a federally recognized Indian tribe organized under the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 as amended, and whereas the Chief Judge of the Tribal Court has been conducting himself in an unprofessional manner from the bench, and whereas the Chief Judge of the Tribal Court has made rulings contrary to the sovereignty of the tribe and in a way that may diminish the tribe's ability to defend its sovereign status going forward, and whereas the tribe finds this conduct unacceptable and a breach of duty from a person in the role of the Chief Judge, now therefore be it resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby terminates the Chief Judge for good cause pursuant to Section 5 of the Employment Agreement effective immediately. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes the chairman or his designee to execute any contract necessary for judges to keep the tribal court operational until a new chief judge is hired, up to the standard rate that the legal department uses for outside counsel. Be it further resolved, any contract entered for the continued operation of the tribal court will be reviewed with the Board of Directors every 2 weeks.
Is there a motion?
We already have a motion and support.
Oh, we already have a motion support. My apologies. Any discussion on this? And there'll be a press release by 5 o'clock tomorrow on this if it passes. Rob?
I'm just going to be really brief with this. Everyone knows that I am a staunch supporter of the separation of powers in a three-branch government. And I try to respect the autonomy of our court in every decision I make. But I've also been very clear from even before being elected, all through my term, even statements I've made last week, that I will respect their autonomy. But when it comes to our sovereignty and sovereign immunity, I will always step in. I will always uphold my oath to office to make sure that our sovereignty is upheld in its absolute entirety, and I will take any action necessary to uphold that. I would just like clarification from our general counsel on one question, that if we moved forward with a three-branch separation of powers, that these actions would trigger a removal process of the judiciary.
Yeah, based on our closed discussion, which we won't go into detail, that you had earlier today, I believe the concerns raised by the board would also have triggered the potential recall and removal section of the draft amendments to our Constitution, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Tyler?
Yeah, our number one duty is to protect the sovereignty of the tribe, and when we have decisions being made that harm our tribal sovereignty and that are against what our nation stands for, it is our number one duty to take care of it immediately, which things have been brought to us today, and we're taking care of it immediately. The one thing I would like to address with us with the constitutional amendment process is I do want us to pull up and revisit our judge criteria to only reflect Native American judges on the bench here on forward making any kind of constitutional decisions. I'm still fully supportive of a three-branch government, but absolutely never again a non-Native on the bench making decisions for our tribe.
Anyone else? So in a show of solidarity, without objection, we will approve this resolution via unanimous consent. Hearing no objection, this resolution passes via unanimous
No,
consent.
I object. I'm sorry I objected. I'm sorry you didn't hear it.
Okay.
I'm asking for a roll call vote.
Roll call vote, please.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Gravel,
Yes.
Sean Borowitz, sorry,
Yes.
Aaron,
No.
Tyler,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
carried.
Motion carries. The next resolution was one that was also added to the agenda. It's titled Clarifying the Intent of the Creation of the Tribe Separation in Distinct Legal Entities.
Hang tight, it's a long one. Whereas the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians is a federally recognized Indian tribe organized under the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 as amended, and whereas the Board of Directors of the tribe enacted the current version of the Gaming Authority Charter on June 22nd, 1999, through Tribal Resolution 1999-89, creating a separate legal and distinct entity known as the Kuwaitan Casinos Gaming Authority, and whereas the Kuwaitan Gaming Authority has sovereign immunity from Sioux in tribal, state, and federal courts pursuant to Sioux Tribal Code 44.106 and is defined as a tribal economic entity under Sioux Tribal Code 44.1033. The Kuwaitan Gaming Authority is empowered to carry out their separate economic purposes under Sioux Tribal Code 94.102 and 104, and whereas the Board of the Tribe enacted the current version of the Enterprise Authority Charter on August 5th, 2025 through Tribal Resolution 2025-184, creating a separate legal and distinct entity known as the Sioux Tribe Enterprise Authority, EA, and whereas the EA has sovereign immunity from Sioux and tribal, state, and federal courts pursuant to Sioux Tribal Code 44.106 and is defined as a tribal economic entity under Sioux Tribal Code 44.1033, the EA is empowered to carry out their separate economic purposes under Sioux Tribal Code 93.102 and 104, And whereas the Board of the Tribe has entered into other economic arms of the tribe, such as Indian Energy and Sioux Tribe, Inc., to carry out separate and legally distinct economic purposes for the tribe. And whereas the Board of the Tribe has enacted Sioux Tribe Code Chapter 15, Tribal Freedom of Information Ordinance to govern the release of information regarding the affairs of the government and the governmental entities that are involved in official governmental functions. And whereas the board wishes to adopt a resolution to clarify its intent in creating legally distinct entities separate from the tribal government to carry out the economic purposes of the tribe and to further clarify how Sioux Tribal Code Chapter 15 applies to non-governmental entities. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Directors hereby clarifies that the intent of Sioux Tribal Code Chapters 93 and 94 was to create legally separate and distinct economic arms of the tribe that enjoy the tribe's sovereign immunity but carry out economic purposes of the tribe, not governmental functions, and that these entities are governed separately from the Board of Directors and are not subject to the obligations of the tribal government unless explicitly and expressly stated in tribal resolution or code. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors hereby clarifies that Sioux Tribal Code Chapter 15, Tribal Freedom of Information Ordinance, in its current form applies to governmental entities only and does not apply to economic entities of the tribe, and further clarifies that the Queen and Game Authority and Enterprise Authority, Sioux Tribe, Inc., and Indian Energy are economic entities, not governmental entities, not subject to Chapter 15 in its current form. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes the legal department to update Tribal Code Chapters 15, 93, and 94 to reflect the intent of this resolution. Be it finally resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately.
Motion.
So we have a motion and support. Ryan?
That was a long one. Good job, Kim. What the effect of this does is we workshopped this in closed session earlier, but we have multiple legal arguments in various levels of tribal, state, and federal court systems that are relying on the argument that we have created a separate and distinct legal economic arms that are not the same as the tribal government. So if a court may rule that the tribal government, Board of Directors, may be obligated to one thing, that does not automatically mean that the Enterprise Authority or the Quaid and Gaming Authority is also obligated to that same thing, be it a contract or a potential law. This is especially important in ongoing litigation against Patterson, our former law firm, which our outside counsel is handling, and whom I have confirmed on this resolution, and we believe this is necessary to make it very clear how our tribal government views our own entities and our own tribal laws to best preserve the arguments going forward in state, federal, and tribal court, now and into the future.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, without objection, we'll approve this resolution via unanimous consent. Does anyone object? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us down to new business. First item is disenrollment. So we're dealing with a child, so I'm not going to mention this individual's name. We're not going to do that. So with that said, is there a motion to accept the recommendation from the Enrollment Committee and Department? I take it, right, Julie?
Motion.
Yes.
Okay, motion by Larry. Seconded by Mike. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries. That brings us to the next item under new business, which is reaffirming 2024-118 protections of first families. Rob, you place this on the agenda?
Yeah, and I have a speech prepared. It's probably only going to take about 45 minutes, so please bear with me. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I just want to reaffirm this and make it clear that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indian stance is that our Board of Directors will not take any action that endangers the environment, and reaffirm this resolution to establish protections for our first family.
Much appreciated. Any discussion? Bridget?
Just a question. I mean, why do we need to reaffirm it when it's already there until we pass something to the contrary?
To me, because we had a lot of discussion out there in the last few weeks about where we stand and what our stance is.
So you could just say that it's already been voted on, rather than going through reaffirming, because we could be
It
reaffirming.
takes 2 minutes to reaffirm, so you can vote now if you want to, but
I'm not saying that, I just asking why it really needs to be reaffirmed until
because
it's
I
voted
believe
down.
that it's important to let our membership know that where our stance was, and this was unanimously voted on, and I don't think it's hurts anything to reaffirm our stance, let our membership know that we have standing law that prohibits us from taking action against our environment. And I think that after everything that's been said the last few weeks, I think it's important that we reassure our membership and we send a message to our overall communities and every other government entity out there that is wondering where we stand. And I want to be very clear that we are protectors of Mother Earth and we will remain as such. So I motion to reaffirm.
So we need a second before we continue this discussion. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Motion and support. All right, so that reminds me, there's dumping at one of our properties. So Bill, can you follow up with that because you're in charge of facilities? Okay. All right, any further discussion? All right, those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. Does anyone have any board concerns?
A request to go into closed?
Okay, so we're going to go into closed session. At the conclusion of closed, does anyone opposed? Okay, so without objection, we're going to go into closed. After we get back together, we're going to adjourn the meeting because there's nothing else actionable. So you guys can hang out if you want to, but right afterwards, we're going to be closing the meeting. Okay, all right. You guys want me to adjourn first?
No.
No? Okay. All right, we got to let you guys out.